So, hello everyone. My name is Cyrus, and today we'll be looking at a question over here. Just let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so this is J3 level competition question waiting. So, first thing first, let's read the question together. Griffey has arrived at Don Mills, but he's too early and there's no one at school to help him with his coding. He decides to wait until school starts so he can get some pointers. Given the time he arrives and at the time that school starts, determine how many seconds Griffey will need to wait. Okay, for input specification, all times will be given in the format hour, minutes, and seconds. And they'll be all separated by columns. And the first time, it'll be the time that Griffey arrives. And the second line will be time school starts. So uh, it will be all, as you can see here, it will be all within a day. And the time he arrives must be less than 12 o'clock. Okay, so just a little side note, the time school starts will be strictly greater than the time Griffey arrives, which is a very sensible thing since he's early, right? And for the output specification, it will be one line and the number of seconds Griffey will need to wait. Okay, just here we can see a sample input and a sample output here. So basically, just to make our logic clear, um, we will need the user to input the time that he arrives and also the time school starts. And for the output, we'll need to output basically the difference of the time. And since the question is asking the number of seconds Griffey will need to wait, we basically, it will be a very sensible thing for us to convert the input and basically the time he arrives and the time starts into seconds. So, and we get the difference, then we will have the output. So just to start the code, in order for us to get the input from the user, we need to import the scanner utility. And we create our scanner object here. Just name it whatever you want. Yeah, so basically we have our code set up here. We can read the user's input. And now we will create two variables to read the start time and the end time. It will be in string since the question is asking to import in this format, which means we need to include the column. And as we know, columns are all characters, so we need to import them as string. We can just name it start time, and we call our scanner. And here, since this is a string, we will use next line. And as you can see here, it's in separate lines. So we will need next line instead of next. Next will only, your input will only be separated by spaces, but not a new line. And we also need end line. Also use next line here. Okay, so we have our variables and we'll get the input from our user. Now, this is the trickiest part of this question. We will need to convert this input into seconds. And how are we going to do that? So we're going to introduce you to a new concept called split. So this is basically in the Java string API, which we can call and adjust our strings. So here, basically split it functions as splitting your string into different sections. And let me just quickly demonstrate. So here, for the input, we don't need the character here. We only need the hour and the minute and seconds. So by using split, just quickly show you the code. So split basically separates your strings into an array. So by using the square brackets here, you'll know that this is going to be array. So let's create two arrays for our start time and end time. So start time, let me just name it parts since we're breaking it into parts. And we basically sub in our input, user input from here, start time. And we call our function split. And this is going to be the regex, which means that this is going to be how are we going to separate the string. Here, as you can see, we're going to separate it by the column. So we're just going to include the column here. Create another one for end time. And time split. Okay, so now we have inputted what we need from the user. And also we've created two separate arrays to basically have our separate hour and minute and seconds. So we should be fairly set up now, and we can just start working on the strings. Like we can basically, we're just gonna figure out like how are we going to convert it into uh, seconds. Okay, so we're gonna create some variables here. We will need it to be as integers, and start time hour. We have our hour here just to make it clear, and we need start time parts, and it should be at 0, right? Since array is 0 indexed. And we have a problem here. This is an error. And why this is an error? Because start time parts, this is from a string array, which means this is a string. However, we need our hour in integer. So what we need to do here is we're going to convert this string into an integer. We're going to use integer dot parse int. This basically converts this string into an integer, so we can store it in start time hour. So, and we need another integer for start time minutes. We also need parse int here since we are going to convert this into an integer. Start parts 1, index 1. So basically, this is for minutes, and start time second will be integer int start time, and this should be at index 2. Okay, so just in case that you guys are kind of confused here. So for start time parts, basically, if we look at the example over here, 8:15, so that would be 08, that would be the hour, and 15, that would be the minutes, and 00, that since it's 0, so it will be seconds. So basically what we did here is we split it by the column. So we will get basically 3 strings inside this array, each containing 08 and 15 and 00. And then we convert it into integers. So we have 3 integers here. And in this case, in this example, it will be 08, and this one will be 15, and this one will be 00. Okay, so we finished our start time. We break it down into integers. Now we have successfully converted into integers. Now we should be working on our end time. So we basically, it's the same thing, end time hour, integer, parse int, start time. My bad, not start time, should be end time parts x0 and end time hour. And time hours. And just for the sake, not hour here, it should be minute. Just for the sake of speed, I'm just gonna copy this seconds, and this should be 2. Okay, so pretty good. Pretty good so far. So we have basically our start time in integers and end time in integers. It's all break down to hour, minutes, and seconds. Now, very important thing. So we need this in seconds. So which means seconds is gonna stay the same, but minutes and hours, we're gonna convert it into seconds. So let us just create a new variable here, integer start time seconds, and it should be a sum, so we can name it like that. And for start time hour, to convert start time hour into seconds, we all know that 1 minute is 60 seconds and 1 hour is 60 minutes. So basically 60 times 60, that will be start time hour times 3,600 plus start time minute. That we would time it 60, and now we add the start time seconds. Okay, we don't need to change that because this is already in seconds. Now this should be in seconds, and this should be all in seconds. Okay, we have the start time, and we do the same thing for end time, except this should be end, should all be end. Okay, so we successfully converted all into seconds. So now we have our start time in seconds and our end time in seconds. Afterwards, we basically, this final step for the code, we just need to print out the final answer here, which is the difference between the start time and end time. So we basically will just end time sum subtracted by start time seconds sum. Okay, so this is basically the whole code. Just to summarize what we did, this is creating our scanner object in order to read the user input. And then we create 2 strings to read from the user. And keep in mind that this is next line. And next, we use the function split. We split the input by the column, and we break it down into an array. This array basically stores three variables, which is the start time, hour, minute, seconds, and the end time, hour, minute, seconds. And then we convert it all into integers and we sum that up and we get the seconds. Remember that we need to convert hour and minutes into seconds. And yeah, basically we get a difference from it and we should be good to go. Let me just test this code on the website. Submit the solution here. As you can see here, it's all correct and the code works. Yeah, so this is basically it. And yeah, a fairly easy question. Just need to make your logic clear, know what you need to do. And yeah, this should not be a very hard question. And thank you guys.